And hi everyone, we're here at the Aurora Fort Arena, our beautiful sponsor Aurora Fort, right here in the center ice. You can see them right on the beautiful lands of the Katlodiche First Nations. And another session with the Richmond Olympic Oval, and we're going to talk more about mental performance again. So over to you, Scott.
Right on. Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to bring up, Thornston, I need access to share my screen here, I think. It's not
You
letting
got
me.
it now.
Oh, I got it now. Okay, let's do this. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Scott. For those of you who did not tune in last week or to the last webinar where we talked about confidence, I am a mental performance consultant with Soul Performance and now working with the Richmond Olympic Oval. Super stoked to be here as always. A little background on me: I've worked with many different athletes from volleyball, now table tennis and hockey and football and speed skating. And see, these are some of the organizations at the bottom of the screen that I have worked with. So excited to talk to you today about one of my favorite topics, because I think it resonates with me a lot. It's one of the skills that I have probably taken upon myself to practice the most, and that is staying calm under pressure. All right, let's get started. I think I just want you to know what you'll learn today. Pretty much all encompassing. It'll be how to manage your emotions, but specifically we're going to focus in on nervousness and anxiety and that feeling that I think we're all very familiar with. Now, we're gonna focus on two specific things here. How to use your nerves to your advantage. Like, what's the benefit of actually being nervous in performance situations in sport? And then how to stay calm with the use of one of the most powerful mental and physical tools we have, and that is our breath. So before we get into this, I would like everyone who's live with us or watching this on their own time afterwards just to reflect for a moment here. When do you tend to feel nervous? Or when do you tend to get that anxious feeling? And let's just build a little bit of self-awareness here. Like what are those times when you do feel nervous? This will be helpful to reflect for when we can actually use these tools we're going to be talking about in a moment. And what does that feel like to you? Like in the mind, what does that feel like? And then in particular, like physically in your body, what does it feel like to be nervous? We call that your somatic anxiety sometimes, the physical, the body anxiety that can build up that we have. So what does that feel like to you? All right, let's get into this. Good little reflection there. So first of all, what are nerves? And I'm going to give you my little definition here, a couple of points, just so we're all on the same page. It's really that response from your body when you're doing something that's important to you, something you care about, and also usually when the results or the outcome is uncertain. Okay, so that's usually, it can happen anytime throughout our day, right? A lot of life is uncertainty, especially a lot of sport. The outcomes are uncertain, and it usually, what we're doing usually means a lot to us. So nerves usually present themselves in those sorts of situations that are kind of new to us or doesn't mean something to us. And again, we're so, I think, all familiar with this feeling. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to us when it's a little over the top, but it can present itself as this feeling to a situation that's right in front of us, that's happening right now, or even an imagined situation, like worrying about things from the past, dwelling on those things, or worrying about things that could happen in the future. So we can still feel those nervous feelings even when we're imagining an event or a situation. All right, now super important part, probably one of my favorite concepts, and you'll find out in a second why. What do nerves actually feel like in the body? Now, I think we're all familiar with this. Our heart rate increases. Sometimes it feels like it's beating out of our chest. We get faster breathing. Now, this is our body responding because our body's like, hey, something important is happening right now. We got to get moving. We got to get prepared. All right. So it ramps up the heart rate. It gets your breathing faster. It's getting you prepared to move. We've also maybe felt butterflies in our stomach before a match, before a presentation, whatever we're doing. And a dry mouth. I sometimes get that, or a lump in my throat when I'm trying to speak. That's our body actually shutting down our digestive system and kind of shutting down these things, saying, we don't really need to eat anything right now or drink anything right now. Let's put all our resources, like our blood and our energy, towards our working muscles, the things that are going to help us perform. So shuts down our digestive system, and we kind of feel that butterfly feeling in our stomach, and our mouth gets dry. Also feels like shaky hands. If you ever had the jitters, right? Those are actually our motor neurons firing so that we have a quicker reaction time. So again, it's our body preparing us for action. And then sweaty palms. Of course, sweat is like the body's lubricant to get us moving. So this is the main takeaway I want you to have here, is that, and this is my favorite part, is that nervous feelings that we don't often love, are actually your body showing up to try to help you, to try to get you prepared for your performance. All right. Now, of course, if your body kind of shows up too much and we have too much of these feelings, your heart rate is too fast, your breathing is too fast, you're really shaking, that will impair performance. And so we need to find that balance between like a little bit of nerves where we're prepared to perform, but not too much where it holds us back and we get in our own way. And I'm going to explain this through a little graph that I like to show people, just to drive this point home, a way to really find that sweet spot when we do get nervous, knowing that, again, nerves are a good thing. It's your body trying to help you. As you can see on the left side, we have performance from low up to high. And of course, we want performance to be relatively high. And then on the bottom, we have activation. And those are those feelings that I was just talking about. Your body activating itself, increasing the heart rate and the breathing, and maybe getting a little bit shaky, just getting ready, getting prepared, shutting down the digestive system, all of that. Now, there is a sweet spot where our performance is at its highest, and that is when we're kind of right in the middle of our activation, right in the middle of our nervousness, right? If our body's not activated, if it's at like a 0 or a 1 or a 2, like it probably is when we're just sitting on a couch watching TV, then our performance isn't going to be very high. At the same time, if our body is overactivated, if we get too nervous, if we get too anxious, our performance can decline, like I think a lot of us have experienced before. So we want to find that sweet spot, that ideal.
It's definitely helpful for passing and everything. Yeah. Because let me see them on mute.
Yeah, we were just not on
Sorry.
mute. So no, all good. I'll continue on here. So we want to find that ideal performance zone where we're maybe a little bit nervous or a little bit activated, but not overactivated. And so, of course, that ideal performance zone, a lot of athletes describe it as being energized and focused, motivated, ready to go, right? And overactivated, that's where we can get really nervous, anxious, maybe frustrated or angry, maybe even burnt out and really tired. And so the key here is to recognize when we're in this red zone, the overactivated zone, and to bring ourselves back into the blue ideal performance zone. Now, what I want to do today is talk to you about or present to you a few mental skills you can use to bring yourself from that red to that blue zone. All right, there's two tools I'm going to present to you today. One is reframing your feelings with self-talk, and the other is using your breath to calm yourself. Now, here are 3 quick ways that you can actually reframe those nervous feelings by how you speak to yourself. The first one, speak to yourself as if you're excited. This is because the feeling of being nervous and the feeling of being excited is actually really similar. It's pretty much the same. We get the increased heart rate and breathing, maybe some jitters, right? It's a very similar feeling. The only difference is how we're actually perceiving that feeling. And so when you're nervous, I would recommend just trying to consider what you're actually excited about, because it might be that you're just excited, but you think you're nervous. And so always look for the things that you are excited about. Number 2 thing you can do is frame your self-talk as gratitude, looking for the good things. When you can find what's good, that tells the mind and body that you are safe. So what's going well in this situation? All right. The final one here is self-compassion. So you know how I said that these nervous feelings are actually your body trying to help you. Wow, if you are feeling good enough, if you're feeling frisky enough, maybe you can even thank your body out loud or in your head. Thank your body for showing up how it does. You get that heart beating out of your chest, say, wow, I appreciate you, body, for showing up like this. You're healthy, you're strong, you're here, you want to drive my focus because this is important to me. But you know what? I think I'm pretty good without you right now. That's okay. Thank you for showing up. And what's funny enough, when you tend to speak to yourself with this compassion, those feelings tend to dissipate. So frame your self-talk as being excited or being grateful or being compassionate towards those feelings. All right, the second skill that we're going to go through, and we had a little sample of this, Thorsten, at the end of last week, and anyone who was a part of that session on when we started talking about using the breath to be calm. So what I want to do right now is a quick little breath test. This is what I want you to do. I want you to put one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach, just like in this image here. And I want you to take a few deep breaths. Let's do this together. And as you're breathing here, I want you to just notice which hand is moving more. Is it the one on your chest or the one on your stomach? Or are they moving about the same? So people tend to be pretty split here, and most of us are probably in calm environments right now. What I want you to know is we want the breath to be primarily coming from the stomach. It's where the diaphragm is. So we want to be using the diaphragm or around the stomach area to take our deep breaths. Because when we're stressed, nervous, anxious, we get tense and we take these short upper chest breaths. And that kind of creates this ongoing cycle of nervousness and anxiety. And so we want to relax our body and use these full breaths to get the most oxygen through to our brain and muscles using the diaphragm. All right. Now I'm going to take you through a full breath to calm the mind and body. And this is what I want you to start practicing on your own. So how to calm your mind and body with your breath here. First key is to use your nose. Super important because your nose does a lot of things, but mainly it filters the air. It conditions the air. It warms the air, something that your mouth doesn't do when you breathe through your mouth. So when you breathe through your nose, you're actually getting about 20% more oxygen to your brain and to your body just through the nose. It feels like you're sucking in probably less air than your mouth, but the oxygen that's being able to be used by your body and your brain is more because it's already conditioned and filtered and warmed for it to use. So use your nose when you're breathing in. Second thing is, like I just described, inhale to fill your stomach first, like a balloon, and then have the breath come through the chest. And that's a nice full breath. You're getting a deep breath there. All right. And the third thing is to really calm your body is to have a long exhale for at least 6 or 7 seconds. And when you take a long exhale, I just have to do that for dramatic effect. When you exhale for at least 6 seconds, you'll notice that your heart rate starts to come down. You'll feel your blood pressure actually start to come down too. This is triggering to the mind that you're safe. The fact that you're able to take a long exhale, your brain is like, okay, everything's all right here. We're good. We are safe. A long exhale. So if your inhale, ideally might be like 3, 4, 5 seconds long. Even longer is great for the inhale, but make sure that the exhale is longer. Now, this is like the calm breath. I use this every day, and I want to just give you a few times where you should practice this breath and train your calm and composure going forward. And we'll round out here with this. So how to practice it. I want you to practice this in calm environments, like right now when we're somewhere. I want you to practice it in active environments. So when you're working out or when you're walking or something like that, just practice kind of having your heart rate elevated and then bringing it down a little bit, something like that. And then super important time to practice it, and when it will come in most useful to you maybe, is in those pressure-filled environments, when you're doing that thing that causes you, that's in a game, off conversation with that person, that's where your breath is really going to come in handy. So in your nose, using your diaphragm for the full breath and a long exhale, and that will calm your mind and body. All right, I will leave it right there. You got this, as always, and I will open it up to any questions on Facebook. Thank you so much for having me here. You can find me on Instagram and connect with me there at Soul Perform. All right, thank you.
That was great, Scott. Thanks again for all this. It's gonna get a little bit louder here now with the hockey practice coming up behind me. But what I love about the things that you're saying also is like I'm already doing those some of these things, like the breath, for example. I do my exercises in the morning, and I'm just trying to be aware of it and mindful about it. So one of the things, as you said, like I start off with just the basic exercises where through the nose breathing and then through the chest and then through the diaphragm and then combine it together just to find that calmness as well. So I absolutely love that you talked about this, and I'm actually already doing it. One question that I have for you is about the self-talk. In table tennis, what we see a lot is the self-talk is happening, but it's not internally, it's a lot externally. So there's a lot of shouting and screaming, not negative or at someone, but at themselves. Like, oh my God, why did I do this? Or, sure, that's so good. Like, how can we control that a little bit better? Do you think it's good to let it out as well?
Controlling it, or I think you said there at the end, is it good to let it out?
Correct, yeah.
This might be against the grain. I am kind of for letting out emotion, expressing emotion. That can actually calm us in some way. At the same time, we do need to be mindful if we're speaking to ourselves in like a judgmental way. Though right after something happens, an aggressive action or noise or something, I'm all for that, because you're letting out your frustration, and it might not be so controllable in the moment. Like how we just react to things, that's not really within our control, but then how we respond after that is within our control. And so however you react right away, again, I'm fine with that. But then that back kind of to your mindful self and to your best self-talk there, and then respond in an adequate way. Does that kind of answer your question? So then using these tools after the reaction to speak to
like
yourself
that, for sure.
compassionately, to speak to yourself in a way that's going to benefit you.
Yeah, and that's exactly. I mean, you have that
That's a great
frustration for a
question.
little bit, and then you go right into saying, okay, let's just breathe in for a second, and let's go back to the table, get the serve ready, and then be ready for the next serve. And just maybe self-talk as well, saying, hey, come on, I can do this. Come on, just focus or whatever else, and then build up towards the next rally. I like that. Very nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's usually when we let those. It's usually when we let those kind of points linger in our mind, and we continue to feed the negative self-talk. We let one point or one play kind of dictate the next 5 minutes. So you can let it dictate maybe the next 5 seconds, but then you gotta come back to the present and move on from there.
I like that. And I wonder, we can just sit down still for a second in the middle of the playing field and say, okay, let me just go back to my breath. I think that would be a little bit weird, but we can do it internally a little bit and just prepare prior training. Like we always say, training is so important, but training is also important to try these kind of things. Your breath, for example, you don't sit in the middle of the practice on the floor and then just do it, but you're trying, you know what, I'm going to do a surf. Let me just go back for a second and just take a deep breath and then move on for that. So I think I love that you said that, and I think it's so very important as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Adding up on that, because I don't see any questions here in the chat or on Facebook. So the other question that I have is like, we are in that moment and we are winded. Maybe I throw my racket at that point and I'm a little bit frustrated with myself. Like, what is the next step for me to do from that point where I pick up the paddle and go and focus on the next point, for example? I'm far behind. I don't know if I can win against that person, but I really want to win against that person. Like, what do you think are the steps between I just throw the racket, it's on the floor, I pick it up, and go to my next serve?
Oh, that's awesome. I would go through a little process that I like to practice. I might even call this the ABC of a reset routine, which is perfect for a sport like table tennis, where it's kind of like point, and you have all these breaks in between the game and all these chances to reset. The ABC of the reset routine would be like, A would be, you need to accept and let go of that past point in some way, and using your of that past point is so critical. So using your self-talk to accept and let go. And then the B would be the breath. So actually using that calm breath to come back into the present, into some sort of neutral position mentally and physically. And then C would be control. So what's the next thing in my control that I should focus on? And this is really the key to like being optimistic. May have just
Somehow lost you there for a second.
There.
Sorry, you were saying about the C. So did you continue talking about that? Because I think that's great, and especially when you have an acronym like that, ABC, and you can just go through that and say, okay, let's do this, and then practice it. So I guess the next thing then you're going to say is that you need to also practice that in training and have that ready for whenever there's a competition. So creating that kind of that scenario and then actually trying it out. So maybe that's something that we can try as well in the future. Just exhaust maybe in an exercise and then say, okay, let's go back with a full good mindset and then focus on all the 3 different steps, ABC, and then move on to the next one. I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, you got it. That's the key to all of this. It's the key to physical training. It's the key to mental training. Is you need to practice it so that it's easier in the moment when you need to, we practice physically and we train ourselves physically. So in the moment, we can call upon our body and our muscles to work for us at that time when we're under pressure, when we're doing the difficult thing. And it's the same with the mental skills. Like you practice the self-talk, even like calm on your own, like just throughout your day. You practice your breath, you practice all these things, refocusing techniques like the ABC. So then when you get into that difficult moment, it's not new to you. You know what to do, and almost maybe it's a habit, maybe it's an unconscious kind of a habit that you've already formed. So absolutely, this is stuff that needs to be practiced. It's not just like show up on game day and hope for the best with your breath.
That's great. Creating habits, so important. Yeah. Okay, let me double check again. Chat, nothing here on Facebook. No, I think we're good for today. Again, Scott, thank you very much for all you do for us and for the world right now, to share your knowledge and everything else. And I'm looking forward to more things that we're going to create in the future. And yeah, again, thank you very much, Scott. And have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Thorsten. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Easter weekend. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. So